educators to authors, join us now on our new journey as podcasters. In our podcast, Author Talk with L&B, we will talk about our author journey and share our stories in order to help you share yours. You'll get an in-depth look of the how-tos we were looking for when we got started. Stay tuned for topics ranging from how to get published to how to stay inspired. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Author Talk with L&B, where we are going to take you where you need to be. Last time, we talked about the marketing process. Prior to that, we talked about the 4 steps to publishing. This time, we're going to talk about growing your brand, building your following, what to do next after your book is out there, officially published in the universe. To kick us off, we got Brittany.
Yes. And first off, I just want to talk about how beautifully fancy you look, Laura. Like, I love it.
Thank you. So I took my daughter for the first time to movie theater. We watched the Troll movie. So we were just all sparkly,
cool.
but I felt like it was fitting for this podcast because it's about like growing our brand. And my brand is really to spread and embrace joy. So I feel like let's sprinkle some sparkles in this cast as it's a reflection of what I really aim to do as an author too. Answer, thank you.
No, and I think it's also like really important to know that part of growing your brand is like selling your best self, and even think about that. I saw your sparkly top and I was like, oh my gosh, like this is perfect. We always try to not only celebrate, but also look the part of a professional that truly cares about our art. And it doesn't just happen with our product, but it also happens with ourselves, making sure that we bring our best selves, part of who you are, your brand.
Yeah. And also it's about being you. So presenting your best self, but you're also presenting your true self.
Yeah, so that's something to think about. So yeah, today we're going to be talking about growing your brand. And I just want you guys to remember that one of the best things about writing children's books is that you can build an entire product line featuring the characters from your books, especially if you own copyright and your illustrator allows you to do whatever with the illustration. These characters can be used to grow your brand by creating like coloring pages, educational resources, other merchandise from illustrations that you already have. I honestly have taken full advantage of that.
Very good, Brittany.
It's just kind of like a trial and error thing. I knew that I wanted to get into the schools, right? And so I wasn't just looking at my book like, oh, I'm just selling my book. No, I was looking at the fact that, no, I am selling a story. I am selling a brand that I want people to buy into, and that's social emotional learning. So I've gotten a puppet made of my main character, and I do some fun things with that. I've incorporated music into my story where each book has its own song. I had somebody create my worksheets so that teachers could use my resources into their lessons, And so what I would do is I would go and look at the state standards for every particular grade, the standards that they're trying to reach in writing. And I would make sure, so like, let's say, for example, they're doing sequencing, or if they're doing vocabulary or whatever, I would use the content in my book to develop resources that I can give to the teachers and say, you know what, here you go. Not only am I coming to do an assembly for your kids, but you can take this back into the classroom and use it in a writing lesson or writer's workshop. I'm working now on incorporating writing's workshop into part of my assemblies. And so there are so many things that you can do with your book. I think the most important thing to remember is it's so much bigger than your book. Laura and I, we have a commonality in the fact that we both want this to be a career. This is what we want to do. We're both from the teaching world. We both have experience teaching. Laura was a dean. I taught in the school system. But we decided that this is where we want our careers to be. Mm-hmm. If this is you and you're like, I want to inch out of education or whatever career you have, and I want to do this, you have to start thinking about your brand. How can you build out your brand?
It's good to also go back to, how we talked about having your author mission and vision.
Yeah.
Everything's grounded in that. Like what really inspires you? What do you want from this? I think that's important to carry with you every step of the way. Like, is this going back to like what I want as an author? Like, what is it that is driving your work and making sure every step of the way you're going back to that?
I love that. And so, like, I'm going to answer that question, Laura. Like, for me, it's like I want kids to live free of anxiety, live free of fear, live free of what people think of them, learn how to persevere through difficult times. When kids feel motivated, when they feel good about themselves, when they feel confident in who they are, they do better in school. That
Mhm.
is what I wanna do, that's my mission, that's my brand, that's what my story and what I'm trying to push into the school system. So, Laura, I think,
I
like, you're
love that.
so right. You're so right. Like, you have to know your mission,
Thank you for
your
sharing that. I
mission
love that.
statement. Laura, can you talk to us about, like, okay, so I'm just gonna be honest, you're way better in social media than I am. I'm like, I
But
contact people directly and things like that, and that's like working, but I really need to get better with posting and social media. Can you talk a little bit about that as a way to build your brand?
sure. I'm still learning myself. I think the biggest part of it is like just getting yourself out there. A lot of times when I'm doing social media, I'm like, oh, am I being annoying about all this content? Like just posting again. And I've actually asked my friends, like, is this too much? They're like, no, you're growing your brand. So, like, as you're getting started with social media, please know like this is part of your job. Whether you're deciding like you want to do writing and being an author on the side, or if you want to do it full time, like Brittany and I, it is okay to 100% put yourself out there. No matter what you do every step of the way, there will always be critics. We're
Yeah.
not telling you that that will not happen, but please know it is what you should be doing. It is 100% part of the job, whether you like it or not. And hopefully, you like it versus not. But first step of social media is putting thought into it before you start anything. So a lot of times when you start a platform, let's say like you're doing Instagram,
Mm.
know exactly what you want from your branding. So some people there's a specific color scheme and they like really tie everything within the same colors and like it some people have like a very structured outline for the week. So day 1 you have a reel, day 2 you have a quote, day 3 you have like something that you share about like a reading or it could be very specific or it could be more flexible. And some people suggest that you post 2 to 3 times, especially for like Instagram, because the more that you post, the more their algorithm shows your content and the more people will follow you and the more people that like and follow your posts to propel your social media presence. So it depends on
Yeah.
that. You do have to be strategic. I know people who plan it out for that weekend and I unfortunately like I don't have necessarily the time right now to do a lot of that, but I do like to create reels and share specifically about like read alouds that I do. First book, I really put a lot of thought in it. So as you're listening and thinking about like, okay, I'm getting my book in the universe, or if you already got your book in your universe, how do you really promote and use social media as a tool to build that up? Before I got started, I asked a lot of my friends and family, and one of my family members, when a cousin, and said, try to think about one piece of information that you could just build on. So let's just say
Yeah.
it is like, illustration for your book. So for me, it was like the first page of my book. I was trying to figure out should I have a to from or the library of, and like you build around that. So like first I shared it and had people vote on it, then pattern design. So like all about like in the front pages of my book was like how I was leading that whole week, and not only like it gave me content to share on social media, but it built around the same like, oh, how should I present my book? And everybody had a say in it. So my audience and my launch team was able to give me feedback and I was able to sort of build on one piece of information and sort of see it from different perspectives and using
Mm.
that to build on social media, engage people like as much as you can ask questions in social media, share your contact and be your authentic self. I
Yeah.
think that will really help your social media
Yeah.
presence and then just keep doing it. Honestly, like it's hard for me. Like you can do it.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think, you're right. It is hard for some people. It's very hard for me. And that's something that I am trying to work on. But I think that also, like you said, a couple of things that just really were good is that you said you don't have to feel nervous about just posting. Like, are people getting tired of it? No. Like, I know this sounds like not very nice, but nobody's thinking about you that much that they're getting
That's true.
tired.
That is so true. That is so true.
Nobody is like we're thinking consciously about ourselves because we're living it,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Nobody's thinking about they forget.
No.
They
Yeah.
forget actually. And so it's like
Yeah.
constantly putting information out to them because they are forgetting. And that's marketing.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, like that just reminds me of like when I would reach out to schools, I would reach out to them one time, be like, they're not interested in what I have because nobody responded. And my friend who is actually a marketer, she said, Brittany, you reached out to them one time. That's not going to cut it. That's not going to do it. You might get some contracts that way, but you have to do it multiple times throughout the year, like different ways. It might be a letter this time. It might be a phone call or however you decide to do it. But you have to do it over and over again. Well, that's the same with social media. Like you said, Laura, the second thing you said was basically repurposing the content. Like you could have the same content and just present it in different ways, right?
Definitely.
And so I think that that's also very important, is just getting over yourself. Okay. Like I think that like the things I do, I'm a speaker, and my mom, and I'm like so nervous and about to throw up, and my mom's like, get over yourself. It's not about you. It's about what the people want. And so it just kind of helps to like, like, okay, take me out of the equation. This is what people need. I have to get the information to them any possible way I can, so.
I totally agree. And thank you for sharing that, Brittany. I think, yes, the first step is getting yourself out there, getting like out of your head and just going there. Got my little over here.
So much for joining us. And
thank you.
I think Laura's son is that your son or daughter? Oh,
can you say hi? Say hi. Can you say hi?
Stick her hand out.
Oh, she's just waving.
Okay.
Can you say hi? We got the little hi. Okay.
All right. Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time. All right. Bye.
Thank you for joining us on Author Talk with L&B. We hope you found inspiration and valuable insights to guide you on your journey as an inspiring author. Remember, every great story starts with a single word. So keep writing, keep dreaming, and never stop believing in your voice. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with fellow authors. Join us next time for more tips, interviews, and encouragement. Until then, keep turning your pages and crafting your narrative. Happy writing.